Hello, everyone. This is Brian Sachs with a touch of laryngitis. Um, I don't worry, you think I'm in the mafia, Joel. So we're starting a new series here for Your Dependable Partner, and we really kind of wanted to start by sharing what is your dependable partner, why do you need your dependable partner, and why we created your dependable partner. So again, I'm Brian Sachs. This is my partner, Joel Sagner. Joel, let's talk a little bit about why we started this, what it is, and why we started.
Right. So your dependable partner is a full service, flat fee, like one stop move management company. We focus on seniors because that is the realm that we're in. I personally moved here almost 2 years ago to buy a house and help my parents just make their life easier. They're in their 80s. Thank God, they're doing okay. My dad still works every day from home, but he was falling a lot. I tried to figure out what the problems were. So, it was his slippers. We got him new slippers. It was a lip on a going from one room to another. So I got like a little rubber ramp so that there's not a step down. All these little things that I think people don't think about. They just know that their relative is falling. So we did some of those things, and that's, thank God, really helped. And then I do, like, the laundry, the grocery shopping, the cooking, all these things that take their energy away. And I want them to use their energy for fun things while they still are capable of going out, having a good time and socializing. I want to add to their life. So the opportunity came up, and I thought, if I don't take this opportunity, I will probably regret it for the rest of my life to spend time with my parents. So that's what I did. And I will say that I had been living in my house for 16 years. I didn't even realize that I'd been there that long. And downsizing was really heartbreaking and difficult. I had antiques that couldn't come. There was no room. I couldn't find anybody to take them. Some of them went on a dump truck, which killed my heart, but it had to go. My parents came here. They had to do a little downsizing too. So all of that is part of what we do at Your Dependable Partner. We have these things and they really don't have any real value except personal value to us, but they're still really hard to let go of. And when we have seniors that are downsizing, and most likely they're moving into either independent, assisted, or a memory care, they don't want to get rid of their things either, their comfort. So we work on that psychological piece with them about getting rid of things and making it a little bit easier to downsize. And we have lots of tools in our toolbox that we could use to help them. And that's where we are. Brian, why don't you talk about your experience?
Yeah, I mean, mine was very similar. I've had three of them. So, it started with my parents. I'm an only child, and my parents had me very late in life. In their late 40s, I was born, and as an only child, the roles reverse. I sort of became in charge of taking care of them.
Mhm.
And my dad, unfortunately, passed away in hospice, but he was in a nursing home prior. My mother went through an assisted living community for a number of years, rehab for a number of years, and actually a nursing home for a number of years. And she was not able to go back home, although she wanted to.
Sure.
She was not physically, honestly, or mentally capable of going home. And so I had to clear out a house that had 50 years worth of stuff, 50 years. And
Hard.
it's hard to do it alone. Thank God I'm blessed with a great wife, but it was really challenging for both of us to do.
Mhm.
We moved to Florida about almost 3.5 years ago because her mom was up in age and living alone in Boca. Ultimately, she passed away. We had to deal with cleaning out that house and selling it and all of that. And then moving to Florida, we moved from a home we'd been in for 28 years and with two kids. And so we had to, you know what I did, Joelle? I literally bought a commercial sized dumpster and told everybody it's in the driveway Wednesday, it's leaving Saturday morning, have at it. Because if you don't have at it Friday night, everything's going into the dumpster.
You're much nicer than I am.
Well,
I had just redone my entire upstairs of my house and had like, cleaned out the kids' rooms, sent them messages. Do you want this? Do you not want this? And put it all away, nice and neat. And then they had to come back home and go through everything all again and figure
yeah,
out what was going and what was, what was going to go somewhere that we could house it and what was just going to Goodwill or whatever.
yeah. My son actually had to buy a storage unit. He had to rent the storage unit because, oh well.
Right,
Uh, but it's all good. And you know what we have found here, being in the real estate profession and assisting seniors, especially because I'm an SRES, and I know you have your designations, Joel, and SRS is a senior real estate specialist. And what we have found is so many families that are members going into a community either here in Florida or even out of state. And we have families out of state. We're dealing with the issues of that transition psychologically and physically
right,
because sometimes it happens quickly,
of
right?
course.
Sometimes it can be planned and sometimes you have to react quickly. But the reality is, you don't know where to start, and you have no idea um, how to really just begin the process.
Also,
And
I'm sorry, I didn't mean to cut you off. I was just going to say the other thing that's really important is there's something called like third party endorsement. So you may know this from your children. A lot of people out there, if you say something to your kids, it's a no go. But if their friend says it, then it's true. So we become that third party that's not the adult child telling a parent you have to get rid of something, right? We're that other person saying, well, I know you love this sofa, for example, but this is a 6 foot sofa and you have a 4 foot wall in your new place. How are we going to make that work so that they can see, oh, this sofa cannot go?
yeah, and you know what's really nice about what we do, and I wish I had it. I'm sure you wish you had it when you were making this move. You know, we have the tools and the resources. If something needs to be shipped to a relative out of town, we'll take care of it. If something needs to be donated to a good, worthy cause, we have lots of good, worthy causes, and you can even select which one.
Right,
Okay, assuming they'll take it. Uh,
right, right.
we also have auctioneers that can auction off valuables. You know, I'll just give you an example. My mom had really fine china that she was really proud of. She had a chandelier that was like her life with some
Mm.
Swarovski crystals that she cleaned every day. She had a vase that I really thought she was just full of stuff, but it actually was worth a lot of money. I didn't know. It wasn't my taste,
That's how people find all these good things at Goodwill. They're
right?
worth a lot of money for $2.
Right, exactly. But it's something I wanted. I didn't have any. To me, it was just like, ugh.
I think,
and
right.
and we moved with some of those things. I mean, how crazy of us. Because even though she was gone, I heard this little voice in my head saying, "Don't you ever sell that."
Of course,
You know,
of course.
and we did wind up selling it because we had no use for it, and it was fragile, and why shouldn't somebody enjoy it? Because I certainly didn't. It
Right,
brought back bad memories for me.
right.
So because I couldn't go into that room. That room was like a museum in our house. It had the chandelier and this and that, and so you're right what you say, Joel. You know, a lot of people, it has sentimental value, but unfortunately, the next generation doesn't want it.
Well, what's interesting is there is now a trend, which I am so excited about, that the younger generation does want the antiques. So we may see a little bit of a shift, which would be wonderful
Skipped a
because
generation, huh?
what?
It skipped a generation.
Right, it skipped a generation because what would be great to me, it's so much easier to let go of something if you know it's going to somebody who is going to love it like you loved it.
Yep.
It makes it so much easier. And we also you were talking about auctioneers, we have in our state currently at this particular moment, the antiques are not what a lot of people want, or older furniture, they want new. But we do have an auctioneer that goes to Tennessee where they do want antiques and older things. So we have an opportunity to sell some things that may not be sellable if you're only looking to sell it in Florida. So I think that's a real good advantage for some people.
Yeah, absolutely. And the other thing I'm going to tell you is we have a lot of relationships with a lot of the communities in South Florida.
Hmm.
Independent living, memory care, just assisted living at various levels. And because of those relationships with these communities, our goal, our mission is to make this transition simple, efficient, psychologically healthy,
Hmm.
and financially rewarding
Hmm.
in many cases. And so we go to the community to make sure what your apartment is going to look like. Okay. And then we work backwards. We're going to work with you to make sure what fits in there and what doesn't,
Right.
liquidate, whether it's donating or selling or gifting to a family member. And we're going to make sure you're, number one, fully cleaned out, and number two, fully settled in. So, because, letting these things linger just causes irritation and frustration. You're getting acclimated, the seniors getting acclimated to a new community. We want them to be able to go to bed that night with their pillow, with their head on that pillow, same pillow they brought, and the same blanket, and make it
Right.
as comfortable and cozy and home like as possible.
Absolutely.
um, that's the difference between what we do and what a mover. Yeah, I mean, look, any person that weighs 300-400 pounds can move everything from here to there. There's no science to that. It's
Right.
simple. But we're taking a lifetime of being in a place and helping you make that transition, including hanging the TV, including helping you change your voter registration and driver's license, including if there's a beloved pet involved.
Hmm.
We're making sure that once you're in, your job is just getting acclimated, making friends, and really enjoying your new lifestyle hassle free.
And you know what else, Brian, is interesting? A lot of the communities have floor plans, but they're not accurate measurements.
Yeah.
So that could create a big problem for somebody if you're using those floor plans and saying, oh, this will all fit, then you get there and things don't fit. So we actually measure everything that's being taken. We measure all the walls in the new uh, apartment that they're going to be living in. And we make sure that everything is going to fit and make a design so we know where everything is going to go. Then we're marking every box with numbers and a list of all the items that are being taken. So we know before it gets on the truck, we have everything, and what's being left behind is what's supposed to be left behind. And
Yeah.
we take care of that on the back end. But that way, when you get in, and we will even, let's say somebody has a picture wall of, you know, photos that they love. We're going to take a picture of that. And if we can set it up similarly or almost exactly when they move to their new place, we're going to do that too, because that gives people a sense of comfort that they're home, right? Not just some strange new place. It feels like home.
So, Joelle, how would someone, if they were interested, whether it's a senior or a family member, how would they get in touch with us?
Well, they can go to our website at www.yourdependablepartner.com, or they can give us a call. And Brian, do you have that number handy? Because I don't have.
561
There we go.
247 4287. And, I'll also tell you, we do not charge for a consultation.
That's
So
very
it's
important.
an absolutely free consultation, no hassle, and no commitment. We
Oh,
want to be of value to you. And if our services are a good fit, certainly we want to earn your business. Um, Go
well,
ahead,
and
Joe.
that also, I wanted to let people know, we have a lot of people here in the state of Florida with relatives that are kind of far away. So we can do a Zoom meeting with everybody so nobody feels left out, which is very important.
Yeah, I mean, I have a neighbor right next door, and it's exactly that situation. Um, she, her husband died shortly after we moved in. Um, her, uh, and she was sweet, sweet, sweet lady. She kept falling,
Oh,
and her family moved her back to New Jersey so they could keep an eye on her or be close to her. But they had a hell of a time. We hadn't started Your Dependable Partner yet, but they sure could have used us.
right,
They were coming down every weekend, you know, it's just a real hassle for the family. And no one really knew what to do or where to start or what she wanted, what she didn't.
right.
Um, you know, I think Your Dependable Partner really is a good name because we are your partner. You know, we're your partner. We're sort of the children here to help
Hmm.
you. And so the children that are actually your children, their life could be a little bit easier not having to deal with it and flying all over the place and trying to figure out resources and trying to figure out who to even call to get
Hmm.
anything done.
Right.
So I hope you'll call us. It's 561 247 4267 or visit yourdependablepartner.com. And I hope you'll subscribe. And more importantly, I hope you'll use us as a resource because every single week we're going to come to you with another topic that's directly related to senior care in
Hmm.
home and making a transition
Hmm.
into a community. As an example, we have great relationships with in-home care people. Hope you never need them, but if you do, uh, we have people who are experts in Medicare and Medicaid. We have senior placement agents. We have attorneys that specialize in elder care. And we're going to continue every week to be your resource here in South Florida. If you want to be a guest, you can send us an email to info@yourdependablepartner.com. If you have a question, leave it right down here. And if you subscribe, we'll thank you in advance because when you subscribe, there's no cost, but it helps us reach more people. And that's
Sure.
our mission and that's our goal. So
Help as many people as possible.
thank you everyone. And we'll be back next week with another Your Dependable Partner podcast.